Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Please like and subscribe. First, I want to say you guys are really sweet. I'm redoing this video. It's like a half-hour video, and my sound cut out at like 2 minutes, and I got a couple likes. So I did announce some good news that I just passed my state certification for psychology education. So maybe that's what those likes were for. But we're going to talk about mental health in America, why it's like so out of control. And criminal psychology has always been really interesting to me. And so this murderer at my door, I don't know. I was getting ready for packing up and moving, and I was under a time crunch. I was running behind, so I'm under pressure, time constraints, and somebody from the gas company knocks on my door, and they're telling me that they need to look at my recent bill to make sure it was accurate. And I'm like, well, you guys sent me the bill, so don't you have a record of what you sent me to see if it's accurate? And they're just saying, well, we need to see what we sent you. And I'm already packed up, running behind. I don't know where my bill is. So I'm telling them, I don't have time for this right now. And luckily, I didn't turn my back because I would have had the door open. I would have been vulnerable. And so luckily this person goes away. And later that night, there was a murder in my town. It was just like 3-4 hours after this person knocked on my door from the gas company. The kicker is that the murderer was a twin of somebody from the gas company. So this person that came to my door, was that a legit thing? Because that seems very odd. Plus the timing of it, where a couple hours later, somebody gets murdered in my town just a little while ways away. So that twin could have had access to a gas company uniform. I don't know if that twin also worked at the gas company. So I had come across something on YouTube where only JS had mentioned that 11 murderers, the average person will walk past 11 murderers in their lifetime. And she was like, well, how does that relate to different countries? Because the statistics would be different based on how many serial killers there are. So she had done the top 10 countries of the worst amount of serial killers. So Russia had 73 convicted serial killers, and that's there's some debate depending on where you are, but it's 3 or 4. I was top 4. Some go as low as 2. And is usually over a period of time that these murders happen. But Russia had 73, India had 80, Australia had 81, Germany 85. We go a little higher with Japan at 96, Italy had 97, Canada, which is the 4th lead most prevalent, was 106, South Africa 117, England was 166, and the good old America, United States, 3,204. So 6 of them were under 100, pretty high, but under 100. Canada was 106, South Africa 117, England 166. And we have 3,204. So what is going on in the United States? Did I even come across a murderer knocking on my door? I read all these news articles where there's so many murders that are happening, the mass shootings that are happening, the school shootings, and it's not even people who wronged the person. Not that you should kill somebody, but these are like innocent victims, and that makes it even scarier. To just random people. It's nobody that they even had a grudge against. It's just random people. Mental illness is on the rise. I also did some studies on the United States has some of the worst, is the leading country for the most mental illness. And if you think about just even narcissism, we got to remember you need 5 out of 9 traits. You got to be diagnosed and plus have it affect your life in a negative way. Also, you have to be able to be diagnosed. So it's really uncertain how many people really have NPD. Definitely narcissism itself, even without the diagnosis or the full criteria of 5 out of 9, is definitely prevalent. They think it's like 20-25% of people are narcissistic. That's 1 out of 4. 1 out of 5 to 1 out of 4 people. So what's going on with this? Now, as a teacher, I have run into some things. When I was a new teacher, I wrote a kid's name on the board who was acting out. That's what I grew up with. I thought it would work. You know, my memories, I don't think I saw a fight till high school. And I think I only saw 2 or 3. Now it's like daily occurrences. But I wrote the kid's name on the board, kind of like, get your act together, I'll take it off the board. But that just totally disrupted the whole classroom. So this kid gets mad, whether he slams something, then that kid's book falls on the floor. So now that kid's mad. And then this kid telling the kid to shut up. The kid's having a hard time. Just instantly, there's 3 fights. These are 3rd graders, 8 years old, getting punched in the face, throwing desks. I mean, it just was ridiculous. So that was very ineffective. So what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to write the person's name, like Katie is reading her book. Good job. Katie's on the board. Kevin's studying. So we're praising. Praise is great. Praise is a really good motivator. But what about the kids that are not acting out? We don't want to embarrass them. We don't have time to take them aside and discuss things, because things are so volatile to where at the drop of a hat, things will just explode. Kids with their bad attitudes upsetting each other, not following the rules of being quiet, so that doesn't even happen. So for classroom management, we have to praise, which is overcompensating in a sense, because they're doing a good job. But by praise, they feel entitled to that. They're going to be used to the praise part. And then the other kids are going to feel they're underachievers. So we're already starting to overcompensate or undercompensate, neglect those kids. Because, you know, sometimes they might do things right, but they feel entitled because the other kids got it. And they're feeling entitled because every kid gets a certificate. Every kid gets a trophy. Every kid, gets whatever. And then for classroom management, we have to do things in a different way. Punishment, it doesn't really happen. I worked at this one school for severely emotionally disturbed kids. They got graded based on what they turned in. So you have a math test, you write the number 7 on all the answers, you get 100%. You didn't even try, but you filled in 100% of the answers. Now these kids are onto this. They know that's how they're graded. So why try? Take the easy way out. And if they got upset, they got to just leave the classroom whenever they wanted, go get some popcorn with the principal, go for a walk. There's no rules. Plus they get popcorn and they get to just walk around instead of sit in a boring classroom. So we are under a lot of financial strain, especially with this COVID thing that's going on. That is leading to more mental illness. People are stressed out. COVID's starting to ease up a little bit, but just 2 days ago, my sister, who is a nurse practitioner, had 5 COVID cases, in one day. So it's still there. The financial strain, the inflation that we're going through, stressors can be triggers, especially with people who have past mental illness. And, I saw this one thing on Facebook where it had physically fit people on the beach in 1970. Everybody was your basic average healthy weight. And it was a very crowded beach. You go to the beach now and it's a lot different. They're putting hormones in our foods. So people are gaining weight. And a lot of it's due to the processed foods or the chemicals. So there could be more eating disorders. There could be more depression because people don't feel like they're matching up to these photoshopped models. So we're not presenting a real reality, but we're trying to achieve, just like we tried to achieve with our narcissist, this reality that isn't even reality. And also the changes in the physical body. The male sex organ is shrinking because of the foods that we're eating. We're becoming more unhealthy, and it's changing our development. So men, and I'll be 52 next month. My day and age, the average man was 5 inches 3/4. Now it's, as of my last research, which because I've also been in nursery school, was 5 1/4, and that was like in 92. So I don't know, are they 5 inches now? So it's changing the male organs. Also, females, the breasts are getting larger earlier. And larger in general, I believe. When I was in school, we had like 2 or 3 girls with a large chest in the whole school, unless they were a little overweight, because you can put on some weight that way too in your breasts. But back then, there were overweight people, but not as many. And the women are starting their periods earlier. And it can be traumatic when you're younger. It's never fun, but sometimes they're starting to get 8 years old, and they have to like grow up too quick. Be prepared for that. And a lot of it is like the foods that we're giving ourselves. And then the classroom management that I was talking about. When we're in 2 family households, and both parties are working, or that single parent who always has to go to work, those kids are often put in daycare. So the parents that are trying to raise a child the right way, the kid gets some exposure to that. But then when they're at the daycare, the daycare has to do the classroom management. And so they can't punish effectively, because you try to take away a toy, and the kid feels it's not fair, so the kid's going to act out, and we're overcompensating because with so many kids, you have to do what works the best, but kids are getting left behind. When we're teaching, we are taught to teach at grade level, so kids are being left behind. I had taught in Florida, where I taught 7th and 8th grade severely emotionally disturbed kids. And I had a 7th grader who, his name was Andy, pretty easy name. Didn't know how to spell it, which is fine. So I'm going to teach him. Write the letter A. He didn't know how to form any of the letters in his name. Didn't even know what they look like, which matches up to which. 7th grade. Was that 12 years old? And so I'm teaching him at grade level. The papers that we give them to test or whatever is, I remember growing up when I was taking classes, you had to read the directions, and it was, you had to make sure, circle the ones that do not apply. So you have to know what you're doing, because sometimes you can fill in what applies and you're like, oh, the question was what does not apply. You have to be able to read it to understand what you're answering. So these kids can't even read, and they're being left behind, causing frustration, outbursts, bullying. Bullying can lead to mental illness, because depression, CPTSD, it's damaging our brains. And mental illness is on the rise so much. We are also, a lot of people kind of bash the educational system. They are teaching a lot, but the kids aren't getting, like, some of the things we're teaching it, but are the kids getting it? And then we're starting to slack off on science. Science is not being taught at all. And that was my passion growing up. I love science. And so people are, it's going to change society. We need our doctors. Scientists, often get like a little twinge of like microbiology was exciting, or anatomy and physiology. Those are our nurses and our doctors. So we're focusing on English and math. And we're destroying our entire society, and the way that kids are growing. The mental illness, they're being coddled. They're given a feeling of being entitled because everybody gets those trophies. You got to be really fair. It's good to be fair, but we also have to earn things. And we're starting to kind of overcompensate. We're trying to rebalance society. We're saying that everybody is the same. And we don't treat it like everybody is the same. And I hope you understand where I'm coming from. We're trying to, because this is meant with a really kind heart, is we're trying to undo what we've done in the past. So African Americans, we're trying to be fair to them. So, unfortunately, a lot of them have grown up in more poverty, not all, but they're usually more in the urban neighborhoods, which don't get as much funding, or the kids are grown up in more stressful households because if you don't have money, life is more stressful, or you don't have the right medical care. So when my ex took his state police test, I think he had to take it 2 or 3 times because he needed a 98 or 99 out of 100. And African Americans at that time, male, needed a 42. The females were even lower than that. I'm sorry, the males needed 77, the females needed 42. And I can't remember what white women were. Sorry about that. I believe it was higher than the African American males, but I could be wrong on that. But so we're trying to compensate, but that's bringing some animosity from other white people who, based on their achievements, if they got, a 97, that they feel entitled that they should get it because they feel that they earned it. And we're also separating. We're classifying when we're trying to say everybody's the same. So you had this group who has a different eligibility requirement. So if we're all the same, then we're also separating at the same time. It's confusing, and just all the classifications. Like, I don't want to get into too sensitive a thing, but we're confusing everybody on who do we be fair to, who do we not be fair to, and by focusing on the differences, on making it fair for the differences, we're accentuating that there are differences. So we're trying to rebalance, but it's causing animosity at the same time, or entitlement at the same time. It's just a confusing world. But with all these serial killers, and was that a murderer at my door? I just heard a gunshot 2 days ago, maybe 400 feet from my place. It's starting to be a really scary world. Narcissism is definitely on the rise. So is mental illness. Now we've dealt with these narcissists who are raising kids that will be narcissistic, borderline, whatever's going to go on. Plus they've done damage to us. So whether we start going into depression or CPTSD, like there's damage. Now we have all this bullying that is ridiculous, especially when you see it at the schools, and social media is causing an increase in mental illness. They did studies on the United States, or English speaking countries are more prevalent for mental illness. I'm not sure why it's the English people, but they might be more affluent. is my guess. And I know China, China's really repressed. I went over there for a month, and they are controlled. You're either in the top or the low tier as far as finances. Yeah, they're overworked. They're stressed. You have suicides over there. We have murders. They feel the Japanese and Chinese are really hard workers, but they're so into saving face that sometimes if they feel they're a failure, they're unfortunately suicide happens. And in the United States, with all the bullying and being used to taking it out on other people, they don't internalize things. They don't self-reflect in places like our America, that they're taking their pain out on other people. And it causes, mental illness is not self-reflection. Like, how can I change this, or how do I cope with this? And social media is restricted in China, and they're not on this list, are they? Nope. Japan is. But so social media, when I was over there, you can't do Facebook. You can't Google. You have to use Bing. So when we look at our Facebook posts, like I have 1,600 and some friends on Facebook. And I had a costume business, so I pretty much accepted everybody. It was kind of for marketing. But you look and sometimes you're kind of like, wow, that's, you're proud of your people or happy for them, but you're like, man, am I like running behind on the things that I should be doing or the things I should be going to? And we're bombarded with, this person has the best life, this person has the best life. So we're like, how do I achieve it? Like, I'm content in my life, but man, they're doing a lot. So we're seeing the good. Just like I told you guys, I passed that state certification test. So I posted it yesterday. I was proud of myself. So, maybe somebody's like, man, gosh, she's still testing, and I wish I was that smart, or just whatever. And as an exaggeration, but where they're like, man, I wish I was her. Like, wow, that's great. She's achieving this. And why didn't I do that? But you didn't see that earlier that day I was crying, and I went to bed crying last night. So what we see on social media, we're jealous over things that we don't really know. Would you really want to be me? I mean, maybe my life's not horrible, but I've been through some crap. Like, I cry a lot. I got that CPTSD where I'm uncomfortable. I'm still healing. It's getting better, but I'm still uncomfortable in my own skin because of the abuse I went through. And we're looking at all these people going, I wish I looked like that. Or, man, that person's so pretty. We went to school together and she's still pretty and I'm old and ugly. And, oh, they used a filter. They just know which filters to use, and we're damaging ourselves, we're wasting a lot of our time. We're reading all these stories. For people, a lot of times we don't even know who they are. And, I get happy birthdays from several of my 1,600 and some friends. But you know what? The people that I know aren't the ones that are wishing me a happy birthday. The people that are congratulating me on that certificate, some were my friends, but a lot of them are the distant ones or people I don't know. And we're not taking time for the people in our life. And we take them for granted a lot of times. I'm guilty of that too. And these relationships with the narcissist, though, that we go through, it's a push-pull thing. And we just want to be stable, because think about it this way, is if we're standing there having a conversation, we're safe. We're standing there, but if you push me, I'm going to latch onto you to hold. I'm not going to let myself fall back. I'm going to try to stay safe, stable, just like drowning victims. They're going to latch on, and they're going to over latch on. They're going to overcompensate. They're not going to relax. They're in that panic mode. And that's what a relationship with a narcissist is like, is they push us away, and then we lunge forward. And then just like the person who's trying to help the drowning victim are starting to feel like they're smothered. And it's such an off balance, that, there are ways to handle panicking people. You calm them down, you don't make it worse. And we're panicking, we're like, sometimes, we're trying to talk calmly, but we're getting anxious. Like, why is this so hard to communicate? And like, that's kind of like a panic too. Like, I don't know how to do this anymore. Like, how can I communicate effectively? What am I doing wrong? And then it starts consuming us, where we start feeling like, what are we doing wrong? Because we're like, at least with me, I presented it 1,000 zillion million different ways. My first narcissistic relationship was just a little more quiet. He was really quiet. The other one was more boisterous, and I guess a little more tolerant. And my first one was such a control freak. You knew to stay in your place. And that's another thing too, like with the submissive and authority figure. We're trying to get back to our comfort level of what we picture, what we missed in our childhood, or what was comfortable in our childhood. And the dynamics of families are changing too. So in the other countries, it's more accepted that so-and-so, traditionally, because they probably have bisexual and all that kind of stuff too, but we'll go with the traditional. In the traditional, they still usually have a male head of household, and female is the submissive. I believe there's some countries where the female is in charge, but it's accepted. That's what we're doing. That's how we're doing it. That's how they're raised. That's the beliefs that are instilled in them. There's not that push-pull. So we're in a different society where we're equal. So in the olden days, when we had the other type of relationships, this is what we're doing. We're going forward. I made the decision as a male, and this is what we're doing. Sometimes you could say, could we do it this way? And if they say no, okay, that was no, you accept it. At least they listened to you. They didn't change. But we're in a different society now. America is very even. We are equal. So women, we're being raised that we have a say. And so now we have to work harder because there isn't a decision maker. So we're working harder, and we're willing to compromise. And this could be a male with a female, either way. Or I do want to do more research on homosexual relationships. On, does it have anything to do with who's the more masculine in the relationship, whether it's lesbian or gay? But we're struggling to communicate with each other because we're trying to be fair. But the narcissist isn't trying to be fair. The narcissist is trying to go back to the olden days where they're in charge. They are in control of everything. And if that's what we grew up with, or that's what we entered into the relationship as, that's fine if it's mutual. But we entered into this relationship as equals because we feel with empathy, we can understand what they're trying to say. We can compromise. We're strong enough to compromise. And I don't want to go to a football game, but yeah, I want to spend time with you. I'll go, or whatever the situation is. But we haven't developed problem solving skills in society. And then the narcissist is so uncomfortable and shame ridden and unable, without empathy, how do you compromise? Because they don't care about what you want. But I keep saying with these self-aware narcissists, like, it's starting to really blow my mind that, I'm self-aware and they still struggle. But you listen to them and they're like, yeah, I did this and this and this. And I know this was a jerk move. And I did this, which was crappy. And I said this, which I shouldn't have. And I did trick them. And they know. And granted, they're self-aware. So, but, they even say at the time, I knew it was crappy. Because one analyzed it on, he had talked about one of his friends who's a good guy, walks into the room and he got really jealous of this guy. I can't remember the reason why, whether he got a promotion or just looked good, or I don't know. He had like a hot girlfriend too, but he was jealous of that guy. Guy did nothing wrong. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to sleep with his girlfriend. So he slept with his girlfriend and they break up because of it. So he destroyed a relationship. He said, I wasn't really into her, but she was hot. And then they started a relationship. So the narcissist is starting a relationship with somebody he wasn't into, but they had sex. So they started to date. And it was toxic. It was not a good relationship, but he mentally knew what he was doing. He was kind of like, fuck you, motherfucker. You don't deserve this good life. I want that. And so he takes the girlfriend, destroys her relationship, doesn't even really want her, at least gives her a shot. But she had said that she was kind of like in love with him or always wanted to be with him. So, I don't know how far along that relationship was. Did she leave a lifelong commitment? Were they engaged, living together? Were they just dating? It was the third or fourth date. I don't know. Could have even been the first one. So she made a decision to be with the narcissist. She probably could have broken up with the original boyfriend first. I don't think she did, which is kind of crappy. That's kind of narcissistic. That's the monkey branching. But she did it because that's who she wanted to be with. And narcissists aren't with us because we're necessarily the person that they wanted. They're with us for, just like he said, I wanted to show him. He even said, I wanted to show him that I'm better than you. And I think that's a great example of how the narcissist is, they see us as either slaves or a financial boost or status or, a trophy husband or wife, or something to make people envious of them, to show that they're better. They might gain instant popularity if you have more friends than they did, or you might bring them into a more affluent circle of friends or networking. They might use you to advance their career. Narcissists will often knock down your achievements, and it's causing frustrations in us. And how we handle things, when I was going through my stuff with my narcissist, it was horrible. And I cried a lot. And I didn't want my kid around it. I didn't want her crying or seeing me cry. So if she did, I lied. And I was like, I'm just happy. And, it's causing us to try to be protective, but it's caused issues between my daughter and I. And I wasn't trying to lie to her. I was trying to protect her. Maybe that's that overcompensation. And I shouldn't have been so upset. But the way, like when we called off the wedding, he wanted to postpone it. So it's not like we had a fight. We were supposed to get married. It was like the closest in our relationship that we were, and he wasn't quite ready for that. And that's what caused us to break up. So it was, I don't know if I should have left or not, but it was in a good state of the relationship. We weren't fighting, but the crazy shit that went on, filled with so much hatred and smear campaign and just a lot of abuse. Like it was insane what I went through. It causes a trickle down effect, because we're trying to cope. We're trying to understand. We're trying to heal. And you'll get there. You'll get there, but you have to take the mental effort to do it. Got to keep on track. Got to keep bettering yourself. It boosts your self-esteem. You know, just like I studied for that test, kind of took my mind off of things. I still cried. I still am going through exactly what you guys are going through, but it felt good to achieve that. It feels good when you hang out with your friends, even if you don't want to. Take the time to do it, because you'll look back and you'll be like, that was a nice day, as opposed to wallowing in a depressive state. We have to rewire our brains, and we're not helping people do that in society. And there's so much pain. There's so much pain that's going on in this world. I just thought it was really interesting how much higher our serial killer rate is in America. Social media, you know, all the photoshops, trying to look in the mirror and feel confident about yourself, when you see facades all over the place. They're brainwashing us on the way the marketing goes. You know, Wheaties uses Olympic athletes, making us feel like, oh, we just eat cereal and we're going to be these superstars. You know, what did McDonald's do? I think sports players or something like that, trying to say that their food is healthy. They stopped the salads. Like, I like the salads, and I got a grilled chicken sandwich, no mayonnaise. So there's like anything healthy is what they're taking away from us. They don't make those anymore. I don't understand. It'd be different if there's a chicken shortage, but they still have the fried chicken. So doesn't make sense. And people are also too with that, are being encouraged to make unhealthy decisions. The way they analyze everything, to use our mind against us. They put certain amount of sugars in things, like spaghetti sauce has a certain syrup, sugars in it, to make you crave. Sugar can be addictive. I got into that cycle where I was addicted to sugar for a long time. Now, you can break that cycle. I really don't like sweet stuff anymore. But I used to like crave it. And just what did Doritos do? Something with the they did actual like brain EEGs or brain scans. I'm not sure which type they used, if it was an EEG or not, but they're measuring the brain waves to see which amount of flavoring dust increase brain activity for cravings. And they can alter the way we think. So if they can alter the way we think and the way we crave things, the perceptions that we have, the way that they play certain musics on purpose, they kind of will do a little more up tempo to get you a little bit more purchase happy. They also use the end caps. They do research on us thinking certain things are more valuable if they're on an end cap. It's also more convenient. They study our behaviors. It's fascinating on the mind. And if you guys have any questions on things, I would love to do some research for you and present it to you. I'm continually growing in my studies, and the mind is fascinating. But we have to remember the narcissist has brain damage that's not coming back. There's certain parts of the brain that can grow back. I want to do this one on Phineas. This one guy who got stabbed by like this steel rod through his face. He lost his eye, went all the way through. It was something like I saw it in a picture. So it's something like that big, a steel rod right through his brain. And he survived it, but he changed his personality. And that was kind of the start of, when certain parts of the brain are gone, it changes personality. So our narcissist doesn't have a certain part or a full part of their amygdala and certain areas of their brain, just like Phineas did, to where that certain part of his brain was damaged. It was dead, and it changed his personality. He was more aggressive. It was just him. He was not a pleasant person anymore. So it's hard to control something that's not there. And we're asking them to do that. So they're getting more frustrated, and they try until they don't want to try. Unless they have some comorbidities to where they don't try at all. It's crazy how much mental illness is out there. And, fetal alcohol syndrome and ADHD, or I'm sorry, autism. Sorry about that. Autism is something that I'm concerned about too. I remember driving across all these billboards, and as time went by, it was like 1 in 169 children are diagnosed with autism every day, or whatever it was. I believe it was every day. And then it started, 169. Now it's 146, 142. Every day, 120 children are diagnosed with autism. And now, what is it now? I haven't done the recent research. 100, somewhere between like 106, or I'm sorry, what is it? I'm going to look it up. Somewhere around 69 to 72 or something is on the rise. And what is causing that? We talk about autism rate daily. We'll see how that is. We're trying to medicate people, and is that causing any damage to children down? Oh goodness. I wish I could pull that. Geez. 1 in 54. 1 in 54. 1 in 54. And I don't know how many years that's been since I saw that billboard. 12 to probably 15 to 20 years. It's becoming more and more prevalent. 1 in 54. So is autism on the rise? Is that just what's causing it? We have so much drug use. It's gotta affect people's actions, that they start craving escaping, and also causes brain damage. It just does. The coping skills, I right now, I don't do drugs. Right now, I wouldn't even know, except my neighbors smoke pot. I know where I could get that if I wanted it. Plus now in Michigan, you can go, I keep wanting to call them infirmaries. What are they called? some, I can't remember the pot stores. But I don't know where, if I got bored tonight, I don't even know where to get cocaine. In high school, I didn't know where to get drugs if I wanted to. But I guess if you're wrapped up in that, you kind of find ways to find it. But it's a lot easier to find those quick fixes or drugs. And so people are used to getting more quick fixes, and they're training themselves to be self-indulgent, which can be narcissistic in nature. Like, I want it now. Our whole society is about now, 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 now. We encourage our kids to be on this high pace. So that causes anxiety. It causes frustrations on not achieving. We're not taught to take our time on things. We're taught to rush it out. And I wonder how much of that is causing us not to reflect on ourselves, on the way we focus. And, some people survive it, some people don't. Just like they've done all these twin studies. Some things are genetic, some are environmental, a lot is genetic. And mental illness, they're still trying to figure that out. What's the genetic component of it? But you think about like the fetal alcohol syndrome, it affects the kids lifelong. And I just thought it was really interesting, all the different serial killers and the mental illness and the crime rates. People are just entitled, and the copycat stuff. People just want their name known. They just want their name known. So they'll go kill somebody just to make the news. Talk about entitlement on that. And some of these things too, like with these YouTubers, there's a lot of things out there that they make it seem like, is that really real? So we don't even know what reality is. I just saw this other one too, where it was a 15-year-old, and it was a little upsetting to me. She had told her mom that she's like, yeah, I want to add a new YouTube channel where I want to be 15 and pregnant. And the mom's like, you already have enough. And she's like, well, I've been hiding it from you. I'm pregnant. So she was trying to do a prank, but the way the mom reacted, she was, for one, dismissive, abusive in the way that she talked, kind of like, oh, like making the girl flinch. And the girl seemed like pretty content. She didn't seem super skittish, but the comments from other people, like, oh, I love the mama, she's so cool. Like, did you see how she just got she was pretty crass too on the way she's talking to her 15-year-old. She was, something about, oh, you only go skating, you want what, somebody skated up that skinny, put your skinny ass, or I don't even know. But there's like a lot of little jabs, and then she's just telling the girl that, basically she was going to force her to get an abortion. She did it in a little weird way how she said it, but there was no room for discussion, or how do you feel about these things, or but the comments from the people, like seeing that, you could tell it was toxic. And for one thing, it's not fair for that girl to stress her mom out for a YouTube video, whether the mom is narcissistic or not. Those cause triggers, and that's going to cause abuse to this person. So she's not caring. She's thinking it's funny, stressing mom out just for a YouTube video. And then also too, you got to watch, you got this person that you just triggered, and how mentally ill society is, people can get killed, people can get hurt. Or even if mom was upset, maybe she crashed her car. They were driving while they were doing it. The other thing too that I see a lot is people videotaping these YouTube things while they're driving. And I get it. We're trying to do some time management, but they're not just like driving and doing a video. They're driving and looking away to, back to the camera. All this recording each other, and stay healthy. And any topics you guys want to know about, let me know. I'd love to do specific topics for you guys. One-on-ones are available, and I'll see you in the next video.